We're back on my bed. Don't know if you can see, but I'm under the blankets. I'm cozy. So welcome back to my channel. I'm Annie. Today, we're gonna be doing not one video, but two videos in one. 2 in 1. I'm here today to do the Authortube Newbie tags plural because there are 2 of them. There's the Authortube Newbie Tag and then the Authortube Newbie Tag 2.0. Both of these were created by Jenna Streety, I believe. She's super lovely. I'll leave links to her channel, probably to the original videos, down in the description. This is just like a rite of passage on Authortube, I feel. So I had to do this at some point. I wasn't tagged or anything, but I honestly think people don't even really get tagged anymore. I think they just do it. It's just a nice way to, you know, talk a little bit about yourself. Introduce yourself. You know, everyone can get to know you a little bit. I have the questions here printed out on a piece of paper because there were actually so many of them. I think there are like over 20. I've combined some of the questions because some of them are really similar, but we've got over 20 questions to get through, so let's just get right to it. First question, how did you find out about Authortube? This is interesting. I don't know if it really counts as finding Authortube, but we'll say back in like 2015, one of like the only YouTubers I ever watched was Savannah Brown. If you don't know who Sav is, she is a YouTuber. I don't think she's really on YouTube a whole lot anymore, but she's also a published author. She writes poetry and also she has a YA contemporary novel out. She's writing books, she writes poetry. Her YouTube channel, I believe, started because she would film her poetry. She'd film speaking her poetry. I think she was into slam poetry, I believe. But after Sav, I think the next person I found was Jenna Moresi. If you don't know who Jenna Moresi is and you're on Authortube, what are you doing? She's just incredible. She gives really great advice. She's also a published author. She has 2 books out, I believe, and she has a new book coming out this year, which I'm very excited for. And I think I found her channel a few years ago, definitely more recently than Sav's. I think it would have been like around my last year of high school, first year of university, so like 3-4 years ago. But definitely those were my 2 introductions to the Authortube community, and I will definitely leave links to both of their channels in the description as well. Next question, what genres do you write in? / what do you usually write? Currently, my main writing project that I'm working on is a fantasy novel, so I write fantasy. Fun fact about me, I am studying creative writing at university. That is what I'm majoring in. So I've actually been made to write lots of different things. I write all kinds of things for uni, but it's been really interesting because it's made me consider writing those things in my own time. I mean, kind of hard to say what I usually write in. We'll go with fantasy because that is the main thing that I'm working on right now, but I just want to say it's open to anything. Who knows what I could get into in the future. Next question, what is your preferred writing tense, your point of view, and the category of story? So do you write children's books, YA books, that kind of thing? Originally, my writing project, Dead Seas, it was originally a young adult fantasy. That was the idea that came to mind. But I am thinking of changing it to an adult fantasy series. I'm not too sure. I'm still like figuring that out. Still trying to figure that out, thinking about it, just considering. It's one or the other though. I would say that those would be the 2 that I would be most comfortable writing in. I definitely don't do children's. And I will say new adult is something that I would be interested in writing in. I know that there isn't really a whole lot of new adult. It's quite a new category, but that's definitely something that I would be super interested in. It's definitely like piqued my interest. Otherwise, my preferred point of view, I'm gonna say for writing, I really like writing in 3rd person. However, due to my fanfiction writing days, I adore writing in 2nd person. I actually really like it. I think it's totally underrated. I definitely see why it isn't as popular as first person or third person, but it definitely has a little soft spot in my heart. And my preferred writing tense, I honestly have no idea. No idea. Definitely my biggest weakness as a writer is my tenses. I switch between past and present like it's nobody's business. Just all the time, constantly. I will say I think past is what I would probably pick. We'll go with past. I think third person past tense is like quite good. We'll just go with past tense and leave it at. The next question, are you a plotter, a pantser, or a plantser? I hate the term pantser so much. Plantser even more. I definitely like plotting, so definitely don't think I'm a pantser, but I'm very, very good at not completing my plans before starting to write. So plantser could be the term for me. Next question, are you self-published, published, or yet to be published? I'm yet to be published. And the next question kind of goes on with that. So it's what publishing company or literary agent or printing company are you represented by, or if you're not yet published, what is your dream publishing house or literary agent? And what is your publishing path? Like, what is your plan? So that's like a whole lot. That is a whole lot. So I'm yet to be published. Not for any reason, couldn't tell you why. I would say my dream publishing house to work with would be Penguin Random House. They're just a classic, they're just a staple. I think I grew up reading a lot of Penguin books, that's probably why I would say Penguin, but again, no real reason why. As for the publishing path, publishing is still something that I'm researching. I am not making a decision just yet. I think for a really long time I didn't ever really consider self-publishing as like a legitimate thing that I could do, but it's definitely something that I'm learning more about as the years go on, and it's definitely very interesting. It's definitely catching my eye. There are definitely pros and cons to both, but I'm still doing my research, haven't made a decision. I think it would be silly of me to make a decision when I don't know as much as I can about it. So yeah, publishing path yet to be defined, but I'm looking into it. Next question is a bit more straightforward. What Authortube related videos can we expect to find on your channel? And / what content do you bring to the writing community? Definitely vlogs, writing vlogs are probably in my mind the main thing that I want to bring and post on this channel. I think vlogs are they're so fun to watch. They're definitely one of my favorite types of videos to like consume. And I just think they're really interesting. I think they show you so much more than just a sit down chatty video. I like seeing the behind the scenes process. I want to show you guys like how things are going for me, you know, what I'm doing, especially like what I'm doing and what I'm learning, particularly because like I am learning. I'm not a published author. I'm not, you know, one could say that you're constantly learning as a writer, absolutely, but like very much I'm a newbie, you know? And I think vlogs are just probably the most accessible content for me to make. I definitely wouldn't feel comfortable sitting down giving writing advice, not saying that I haven't learned anything with my years at writing, but just I'm not at that stage where I would feel comfortable telling other people advice and tips on writing. That's just not where I'm at personally. But definitely vlogs. I also do think it's really interesting because I am a student of creative writing. I am studying creative writing, and I don't know many other people online who have done that or are currently doing that. I definitely want to do a chatty video about like what I've learned, maybe the pros and the cons, because definitely while there are a lot of really, really great writing resources on YouTube, I haven't really seen many videos like that discussing like what you can learn at like with institutionalized teaching, I guess you would say. I think that would be really interesting to do. And I also get lots of questions about that on my Tumblr. People ask me, you know, what it's like studying creative writing in English. I do a lot of English papers. So I think that's a really interesting, I guess, like, thing that I can bring to the community. Next question is, when did you start writing / what made you want to start writing? I mean, aside from writing as a kid, you know, writing at school, doing projects, that kind of thing, I'd say the first story idea that I ever had was when I was 11, like a full-blown novel idea was 11, and that was like the first time I had an idea and I was like, I want to write this story and I want that story to be like out in the world. It didn't get out into the world. I think I wrote maybe like the first chapter, maybe 2, so that's a bit of a shame, but that was definitely like a specific point in my life where I thought I want to write a story. There was also have to give credits to that time in high school where I wrote fanfiction on Tumblr. That definitely did a lot for me. That was like one of the most fun times of my life, writing fanfiction. Super great. But I definitely think what made me want to write in the first place would be just the fact that I read a lot. It's such a vague and just like, you know, normal answer, but I've always been a reader. My parents read to me a lot when I was a kid, like a baby, a child, a toddler, whatever you want to call it. I was reading chapter books as soon as I could. Haven't stopped reading since. There was a bit of a rough patch in high school where I think I read like 1 book over 3 years, but that was when I was writing fanfiction a lot because I was more into like movies and TV shows. So I definitely think you could say that like other media has inspired me to be a writer. And what was the first story you ever wrote? This, I mean, I don't know, again, aside from the like stories that I wrote as a kid, and actually I read some of those in my Q&A video. If you want to go check that out, I'll leave a link either up here or like down in the description. I would say the first story I really tried to write would have been the one that I had when I was 11. It was about 2 orphan twins, Ivy and Leaf. I remember I loved the nature themed names. I thought that was just like exquisite detailing from me. And I can't remember what like the plot was going to be, but essentially there were 2 orphan twins and it was going to follow them as they like for the first time in their lives was separated. They were both being sent off to like boarding schools, different boarding schools. So I think that would probably be the first story. But I don't know if that can count as my first story because I didn't actually end up writing it. I guess apart from that, Dead Seas would be the one story. I've written the first draft. We're on to the edits now. It's all happening. It's all happening with Dead Seas. But yeah, that's definitely a tricky question. I hope that answer is okay. The next question is, what authors have inspired your writing the most? Super interesting. A new one, a recent author who's definitely been inspiring, Erin Morgenstern. Love her work. So beautiful, so incredible. Again, I've been reading for just so long, it's hard to say if there is a particular book or a particular author that, you know, striked something in me and made me go, I want to be an author. But definitely Erin Morgenstern. I would say Leigh Bardugo, constant source of inspiration. Her fantasy worlds are just incredible. We'll also go with Donna Tartt, Secret History. Incredible story, incredible writing, and I think actually, kind of sadly, one of the first adult / like classic kind of stories that was recommended to me that was written by a woman. Hey, what do you know? All 3 of these authors are women. So that definitely stuck out to me. We'll go with those 3. As I said, been reading for a really long time. Couldn't say that there's just like one particular author who really did it for me. Next question. Do you schedule your writing sessions or simply get to writing whenever you can find the time? Because I am first and foremost a full-time student, definitely don't have a writing schedule in place. That is something I really want to get onto, something I really want to try and find, because it is super important, I think, as a writer to have even just 1 day a week and one like a specific time, one day a week, that you know you're going to sit down and write. I think that's really good. Like, having that habit, I think, is really important. But definitely at the moment, it's more just like whenever I can find the time, because again, there are some days where I just sit down and I'm just working on assignments all day and I don't have the time to work on writing. But just because I don't schedule my writing now doesn't mean I won't in the future. It's definitely like a priority for me. The next question, do you type on a computer, typewriter? Do you write everything out by hand, or do you use a mix of these? And where do you write in general? Definitely do most of my writing on my laptop. I do like to do planning with pen and paper, especially like making timelines. Timelines are one of my favorite things to draw out, but definitely mostly just everything on the laptop. And I would say this is where I write the most, my bed. I like to be cozy, comfortable. Definitely I'm not someone who thinks that you have to get up to write. If you can write in bed, you can write in bed, and I can write in bed, so I do. Next question, what are you most looking forward to now that you are a part of Authortube? Definitely just meeting other writers, getting to know people in the community. I just like, and I guess also sharing what I'm working on. I definitely want to push myself to share more of what I'm doing. I think that's just a part of being a writer, but I think it's also important to at least practice. But yeah, mostly just meeting other people who are writing and who have the same interest and passion as me. I think that was definitely what I think motivated me to start in the first place. Next question, what is your book's pitch? And if you're working on multiple books, choose your favorite. So my main project that I'm working on right now, Dead Seas, it is a fantasy story set in a world that is a giant ocean, and because the world has become unbalanced, and we follow Isla, who comes to discover some magic in the world. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm really bad at explaining my story, so I hope that was good. The next question is, if you were a book, how would you pitch yourself? I don't know. Struggling uni student, trying to do something with her life. We'll go with that. The next question is, what's something that you will never write? This is a really interesting question. If you had have asked me this 3 years ago, I would have immediately said poetry. I used to despise poetry, hated it, absolutely hated it. But I have a published poem now, so I can't say that, because obviously I do write poetry. I actually really do enjoy writing poetry. So I think for this question, my answer is going to be, there is nothing that I would never write, at least not that I can think of. I genuinely, like, there are things that I don't immediately jump to write. I'm not immediately jumping to write a biography or a non-fiction book or journals, articles. I really don't want to be a journalist, but I feel like if circumstances came to be, I could write these things. So not gonna say I wouldn't ever write something, because honestly, who knows? Next question is, what is your goal for creating an author platform? Definitely sharing my work, getting other people to hear about my work, meeting other people who also write, making connections. And I also do, like, going on with the sharing your work, I am really interested. I do really want to document this time in my life where I am not yet published. I'm very much still learning, trying to get books done. I think that'll be something really interesting to document, and then later on in life look back and see, have these moments of my life recorded. I think that's definitely, it's not like a goal, but it's definitely something that I have in mind when creating this channel. And the next question is, what is your biggest writing struggle? Aside from tense, I would probably say with Dead Seas, I think I've really been struggling with getting a balance between characters and plot. Definitely, I have an idea of my characters in my head, and I have an idea of the plot, like what's going to happen in the stories, but bringing those two together, difficult. I'd also just say finding the time to write consistently. Writing consistently is not something that I'm doing and something that I really want to do. So yeah, I would say those would be my biggest struggles at the moment, at least. The next question is, what's your best writing skill? I would say I'm pretty comfortable writing dialogue. I like writing dialogue. Dialogue is good and fun. I've also been told that I'm relatively good at writing dialogue. I would say dialogue exercises are always my favorite in class. I know in high school I always got good feedback on characters, character development, character voice, that kind of thing. So I would say maybe like, you know, having a voice. The next question is, if you've been writing for a while, what's your biggest tip? I mean, I haven't been writing for that long, but my biggest tip would just to be keep going. I feel like so many writers give up when it's too hard. And I mean, there's a difference between taking a break and giving up. By all means, like, take a break, but, you know, definitely push yourself to keep going. If it's something you really want to do, something, you know, if you have a story that you really believe in, don't give up on it. Keep going. It might be tough, but over time, you'll learn, you'll be able to, you know, get it out and make it good. If you're new to writing, what is your biggest question? I don't really know. I guess my biggest questions at the moment to do with writing would be to do with the publishing process. And I guess I'm really interested in everyone's individual writing journey, because it's different for everyone, I'm sure. Like, of course there will be similarities, but I just think that's really interesting. If anyone wants to tell me how their writing journey's going, let me know, because I find that really fascinating. And the last question, are you looking for any new writers to follow? Any beta readers, any critique partners, or other types of writing buddies? Always, absolutely. I will say beta readers, not looking for those just yet. Hopefully, sometime this year, that could be very exciting. If that does happen, you'll definitely hear about it here. But in the meantime, writing buddies, for sure. People who I can talk to about writing, absolutely. If anyone has any writers that they really like or think I should follow, let me know. Definitely always open to meeting new people, following new people, etc. Those are all the questions. That's it. Both of the Authortube Newbie tags done and dusted in one go. If you're watching this and you haven't done either of these tags, I tag you to do it. And comment down below if you do, so I can go watch your video. I feel like everyone that I already know from Authortube has done the tag, so if you stumble across this and you haven't done it, this one's for you. Again, links to the videos will be down in the description if you're wondering, you know, if you want the questions or anything. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed, I hope you learned a little bit about myself, and I can't wait to bring more writing content to this channel. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you're having a fabulous day, wherever you are, whenever you're watching this, and I'll see you guys in another video. Bye!